It was a typical morning on the ship. The steady hum of the engines echoed through the metal corridors, and the faint smell of recycled air filled the small, dimly lit engineering room. For the human engineer, it was another quiet day of maintenance and routine tasks. He had learned to appreciate the calm after the chaos of space travel. His hands worked mechanically, adjusting wires and checking systems. His mind focused on the tasks at hand. But today, everything would change. The sudden hiss of the door opening startled him, causing his tools to clatter against the floor. He looked up, his heart skipping a beat. There, framed in the doorway, stood the alien Maid. She wasn't in her usual uniform, a simple, functional outfit made for cleaning and small maintenance jobs. Today, she wore nothing but a plain apron, covering her slender frame. Her green skin seemed to shimmer under the harsh lights, and her eyes, usually warm and friendly, now held a hint of something urgent. The engineer froze, his eyes wide with disbelief. His mind raced, but no words came. He had worked with her for months, a quiet, unobtrusive presence in the ship. She had always been professional, almost distant, doing her job with efficiency and precision. But this was something completely different. Her eyes met his, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The engineer's gaze lingered on her, unsure of what to make of the situation. She took a step forward, breaking the silence. "I need your help," she said, her voice calm, but laced with something he couldn't quite place. It was a tone he'd never heard from her before, soft yet commanding. "Help?" The engineer finally managed to speak, his voice hoarse. "What do you mean? Why are you dressed like that?" The alien Maid didn't flinch at his question. Instead, she took another step closer, her movements graceful but deliberate. "I need your expertise. There's something wrong with the engines, something only you can fix." His confusion deepened, and he instinctively took a step back. The last time the engines had malfunctioned, it had been a minor issue, nothing that required his intervention. And he couldn't understand why she would need him for something so important. She was an alien, more advanced than him in every way, capable of fixing nearly anything on the ship herself. "I don't understand," he said, shaking his head. "You're one of the highest-ranking beings on this ship. Why come to me?" The Maid's gaze softened, and for a brief moment, he saw a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. "Because," she said slowly, "this is beyond what I can handle. There's something hidden within the engine's core, a ticking time bomb of sorts. If it's not stopped, it could destroy everything." The engineer's heart raced. The mention of a time bomb made everything feel far more urgent. "What do you mean, hidden?" "I've checked the core systems every week. There's nothing dangerous in there." She nodded, her eyes meeting his with an intensity he had never seen before. "I thought so too. But there's a flaw in the system, something no one has noticed. It's been there for a long time. I need you to help me find it." The engineer's mind raced. He had always trusted the ship's systems, believing they were nearly flawless. The idea of a hidden threat lurking within the engine's core made his stomach turn. But what choice did he have? He couldn't let something so dangerous go unchecked. He glanced at the control panel nearby, then back at her. "All right," he said, his voice steadying despite the growing unease in his chest. "But you need to explain exactly what's going on. I can't help if I don't understand what we're dealing with." The alien Maid stepped closer, her voice lowering to a near whisper. "I don't have much time to explain. We need to move quickly. I'll fill you in as we go, but first, we need to get to the core room. The longer we wait, the worse it gets." The engineer nodded, his hands now steady. He couldn't explain why, but something in her urgency had ignited a sense of duty within him. She trusted him with something big, something dangerous, and he couldn't back out now. Without another word, they both turned and walked toward the exit. The engineer's mind raced with questions, but one thing was certain. This wasn't just a routine repair. This was something much, much bigger. As the door slid shut behind them, the hum of the ship's engine seemed to grow louder, as if the very air around them was charged with a dangerous energy. The engineer had no idea what awaited them in the Vita engine room. But one thing was clear, his life was about to change forever. The metallic clang of footsteps echoed in the quiet corridor as the engineer and the alien maid hurried towards the engine room. Her pace was quick but controlled, her sharp, almost predatory movements portraying the urgency that seemed to pulse in the air around them. The engineer, still processing what had just happened, walked beside her, his mind racing. He stole glances at her, trying to understand what had shifted in her demeanor. She had always been calm, almost robotic in her efficiency, but now there was something more, something personal. It was as if her presence had grown, filling every corner of the narrow hallway. Her usual composure was gone, replaced by a subtle, almost invisible tension. But it wasn't just her behavior that was off. It was the way she moved. She was the same alien maid he had known for months, yet there was a depth to her actions now, a weight in her steps that he had never felt before. She didn't walk like a servant anymore. She moved like someone who had a purpose. As they neared the engine room, he couldn't ignore the pull in his chest. There was a strange, almost magnetic connection between them, something that made his heart beat a little faster with every step. It was irrational. He was just a human engineer. She was an alien, a being far superior in intelligence, strength, and skill. So why did it feel like they were tied together in this moment? Before he could delve deeper into his own thoughts, the alien maid spoke, her voice as steady as ever, but with a layer of something softer beneath it. "You don't understand yet, do you?" He turned to face her, confused by her words. Understand what? She met his gaze with an intensity that made him feel exposed, as though she could see through him. "This isn't just about fixing the engines," she said, her tone quiet but insistent. "It's about saving everything you've ever known." Her words hung in the air, thick with meaning. The engineer felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. He didn't want to seem weak, but the truth was, he was afraid. Afraid of the unknown, of whatever she was hinting at. She hesitated for a fraction of a second before answering. "The ship's core is a network of systems that regulate not just the engines, but the entire life support system. If it goes, everything goes. You and I were just small pieces in a bigger picture." Her voice softened even further. "But there's more to it. There's something else, something hidden in the core, and I can't stop it alone." The engineer felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. He had heard rumors of dangerous technology embedded in the ship's systems, but he had always dismissed them as exaggerated tales told by the crew to spice up their downtime. Now standing next to her, listening to her speak, the weight of those rumors seemed to take on a terrifying reality. "I don't understand," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What's hidden in the core? What aren't you telling me?" The alien maid's eyes flickered with something that could have been regret, or perhaps sorrow. "There's a force on this ship, something much older than us, and it wants to destroy everything." The engineer's mind was spinning. A force? Something older? He felt a wave of confusion, a sick feeling settling in his stomach. "Why did you come to me?" he asked, almost afraid of the answer. She looked at him for a long moment, as if measuring him, weighing his worth. "Because," she said slowly, "I can't do this without you. There's something inside you, something that I can't explain. And it's the key to stopping this." His heart skipped a beat. "Inside me?" he echoed, not sure what she meant. She nodded. "You're not just a technician, a worker on this ship. You're more than that. And I believe that, together, we can stop what's coming." For a moment, the engineer felt like the world around him had shifted. Was it possible? Could there really be something inside him, something he had never known about that could change everything. The thought was overwhelming, and for a brief second, he considered backing out, running away from whatever insanity this had become. But before he could make a decision, the doors to the engine room slid open with a hiss. The soft whir of machinery greeted them, a constant hum that filled the large space with a sense of foreboding. The alien maid stepped forward, her gaze now focused on the array of blinking consoles and monitors before them. The engineer followed, his steps hesitant but steady. Whatever was hidden in the core of this ship, whatever danger lay ahead, he knew one thing for sure: he was already too deep to turn back, and with each step, he felt an unspoken bond forming. Between him and the alien maid, something that couldn't be ignored. They were partners in something far larger than either of them had anticipated, and the fate of everything they knew might rest on their next move. The engine room was unlike any other part of the ship. It was a vast, pulsating heart of machinery, wires, and glowing panels. The air smelled faintly of metal and oil, mixed with the faint hum of the core that powered the entire ship. The engineer had spent countless hours here, surrounded by systems and schematics he knew like the back of his hand. But today, something felt different. Something was wrong. The alien maid walked ahead, her eyes scanning the room with an intensity that seemed out of place for someone whose job was supposed to be limited to cleaning. She moved with a sense of purpose, her steps precise and calculated. The engineer followed close behind, watching her every move. "We need to start with the main control panel," she said, her voice calm but carrying a certain urgency that made his pulse quicken. The engineer hesitated. "I've checked the core 100 times. It's running perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong here." He tried to sound confident, but there was a knot tightening in his chest. She turned to face him, her green eyes locking onto his with an unwavering gaze. "You don't understand. This isn't about maintenance. This is about survival." Her words struck him like a punch to the gut. "Survival?" he repeated, almost in disbelief. "Of what? What exactly are we dealing with here?" The alien maid stepped closer, lowering her voice. "The core is more than just a power source. It's a conduit, a connection. But it's not stable. And if it isn't fixed soon, the consequences will be far worse than you can imagine." He stared at her, his heart racing as the weight of her words began to settle in. "What do you mean? What's going to happen?" She glanced at the control panel before them, her expression grim. "There's a hidden element inside the core. It was placed there long ago, by an alien species far older than any of us. It's been dormant, waiting. But it's starting to stir." The engineer felt his throat go dry. "An alien species?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Are you saying that something alien is inside the ship? Inside the core?" She nodded slowly, her eyes filled with a quiet desperation. "Yes, and it's awakening. If we don't stop it now, it will take control of the entire ship, and everything we know will be destroyed. The ship, the crew, everything." The engineer's mind raced. This was impossible. He had spent years working on the ship, checking its systems, ensuring everything was running smoothly. The idea of something so dangerous, something hidden inside the very heart of the ship, was absurd. But then he looked at her, the alien maid, who had always been so calm, so composed. She wasn't someone who would panic. She wouldn't lie about something like this. Her desperation was real, and it was starting to seep into him, pulling him into a world he had never even considered. "What are we supposed to do?" he asked, his voice shaky. "How can we stop it?" The alien maid didn't answer right away. She just stared at the control panel, her eyes narrowing as if she were searching for something hidden in the glowing screens. Finally, she spoke, her voice low and steady. "We need to sever the connection. The core is acting as a gateway. If we don't disconnect it, the entity inside will spread throughout the entire ship. The systems will be corrupted. The crew will be at its mercy." His mind was spinning. This was beyond anything he had ever encountered. How could something like this be hidden so well? How could he, a simple engineer, be the one to fix it? "You can do this," she said suddenly, as though reading his thoughts. "You have the skills, the knowledge. You're the one who can stop it." The engineer shook his head, disbelief clouding his mind. "I'm not a hero. I'm just a technician. How am I supposed to fight some alien entity?" She stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're not fighting it. You're stopping it. All you need to do is sever the link. You can do this, but we have to act fast. If we don't, the consequences will be catastrophic." A cold sweat formed on the engineer's brow as he glanced at the control panel, his hands trembling slightly. He didn't know how to stop something like this. He wasn't prepared for this kind of situation. But one thing was clear, he didn't have a choice. If he didn't act now, the ship, the crew, and everything else would be lost. As the alien Maid moved toward a nearby console, he followed, his heart racing. There was no going back now. They were in this together. The engine room seemed to grow colder, the hum of the ship's core becoming more ominous. The glowing lights flickered briefly, as though reacting to something deep within the system. The engineer knew that they were running out of time, and as he set his hands on the control panel, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to awaken something far darker than he could ever imagine. Asterisk. The engine room felt smaller now, though it hadn't changed. The lights flickered faintly, cast in shadows that danced along the walls of pipes and machinery. The air was thick with tension, and the faint hum of the core seemed louder, almost like it was alive. The engineer's hands hovered over the controls, unsure of where to start. The alien Maid crouched beside a panel, her fingers moving over the glowing interface with practiced precision. She didn't speak, but her eyes, bright and focused, gave him all the guidance he needed. He realized that for the first time, she was letting him take the lead. The responsibility was his. "Here," she said finally, pointing to a cluster of cables that pulsed with faint blue light. "The anomaly is there. But it's not just a wiring issue, it's something alive, something that thinks." The engineer swallowed hard. "Alive? You mean it's conscious?" She nodded without looking up. "In a way. It's a remnant of an old alien experiment, a seed of intelligence hidden in the core, dormant for centuries. But now it's awakening. And it's curious." "Curious?" he asked, disbelief tingling in his chest. "It could destroy the ship, and you call it curious?" Her lips twitched in the hint of a smile, but her eyes were serious. "Curious, yes. It's trying to understand us, trying to interact. But if left unchecked, it will consume everything: systems, crew, even life itself." He swallowed. The thought of an intelligence, hidden inside the ship, capable of consuming everything, made his skin prickle. "So, what do we do?" She stood, brushing back a lock of shimmering hair. "We have to speak its language. Not with words, but with understanding. The anomaly responds to patterns, to sequences. It's almost like a puzzle. And you," her gaze landed on him, unwavering, "are the only one who can solve it." He hesitated, glancing at the glowing wires, the endless panels of blinking lights. "Me? How am I supposed to communicate with something like this?" "You don't have to talk to it," she said softly. "You have to show it the solution, lead it. The core responds to logic, to sequences it can predict. It doesn't understand chaos or fear. That's where you come in." The engineer took a deep breath. He could feel his hands trembling slightly, but he forced himself to steady them. "All right, show me." The alien Maid moved closer to him, her presence grounding. "I'll guide you, but listen carefully. One wrong step and the anomaly will reject the pattern. If that happens—" She paused, letting the weight of her words hang in the room. The entire ship could fail. He nodded, determination rising amidst the fear. He had dealt with impossible problems before, but this was different. The core was alive, aware, and waiting. He couldn't fail. Together, they began to work. She pointed out patterns, subtle cues hidden within the pulsating light of the cables. He followed, his fingers flying over the panels as if his life depended on it. Because it did. The core seemed to respond, the pulsing light synchronizing with his every movement. For a brief moment, the engineer felt something extraordinary. It was as if the anomaly recognized him, acknowledged his presence. A wave of warmth, faint but undeniable, pulsed through the room. The core wasn't just a machine anymore. It was aware. And it was watching him. The alien maid's voice broke the silence. "You're doing it. It's following you." He glanced at her, a mixture of disbelief and awe in his eyes. It's responding?" She nodded. "Yes, but we're not done yet. There's a final step. You have to complete the sequence. Predict its next move before it decides to act on its own." The hum of the core grew louder, almost like a heartbeat. The room seemed to contract around them, the air thick with energy. Every panel, every wire, every flickering light felt alive, watching, waiting. The engineer's heart pounded, but he felt a strange clarity. The anomaly was not an enemy, it was a challenge. A puzzle that required logic, intuition, and courage. And he was ready to face it. As he prepared to enter the final sequence, he stole a glance at the alien maid. She gave him a nod, her eyes steady, almost human in their reassurance. For the first time, he felt the weight of their partnership, not just as engineer and maid, but as two beings connected by a single purpose. The final step awaited. One wrong move could be disastrous, but one right move could change everything. The engineer's fingers hovered over the final sequence on the console, sweat beating at his temples. Every light, every wire, every pulse of the core seemed to be watching him, waiting for a mistake. The anomaly's presence wasn't just felt, it was alive in the room, coiling around their minds, whispering in ways he couldn't understand. The alien maid stood slightly behind him, her eyes scanning the room as though ready to act at any second. Her calmness was unnerving. She had seen this before. She knew what was coming. He, on the other hand, felt like a novice standing at the edge of a storm. Suddenly, a sharp jolt ran through the room. The console flickered violently, lights spinning from green to red. The anomaly was reacting, but not in the way he expected. It wasn't following his patterns anymore. It was resisting, almost deliberately, as if testing him, challenging him. "What's happening?" he shouted over the hum, panic creeping into his voice. The alien maid's lips tightened. "It's testing you. It doesn't want to be controlled. It wants to understand if you're capable." He clenched his jaw, trying to calm the storm inside his mind. Every instinct screamed for him to stop, to run, to escape. But he couldn't. He had to finish the sequence, for the ship, for the crew, for her. He focused, blocking out the fear, the chaos. Step by step, he traced the anomaly's pattern, predicting its moves before it made them. It pulsed, hissed, and flickered, like a wild creature struggling against a net. And then something changed. It paused. For the first time, the anomaly hesitated, as if acknowledging him. The lights dimmed, the wires pulsed softly, and the hum of the core shifted to a gentle rhythm. The engineer felt a strange calm wash over him, as if the core had recognized him, not as a threat, but as an equal. He glanced at the alien maid. Her eyes were wide, almost incredulous. You did it," she whispered. He couldn't respond. His hands were still on the console, tracing the final steps, making adjustments, completing the sequence. The anomaly's pulse synced with his movements. It was no longer resisting, it was cooperating. But then, a deep, resonant sound shook the room. The anomaly's glow flickered violently, and the hum of the core grew into a roar. He stumbled back, alarmed. Something was wrong. The alien maid stepped forward, her voice firm. "It's not over. It's testing us one last time. Be ready." Before he could react, the core surged. Sparks flew from panels, and a wave of energy pushed them both back. The anomaly was trying one final trick, one last challenge. Its intelligence had expanded, and it was no longer predictable. "Think," she shouted, grabbing his arm. "Predict its chaos." He closed his eyes, focusing entirely on the pattern, the rhythm, the pulses he had memorized. His mind raced, faster than he thought possible. Every wire, every blink, every light formed a sequence in his head. He reached out with his hands, guiding the anomaly, coaxing it, showing it the logic it needed to accept. And then silence. The core's hum dropped to a gentle, steady thrum. The flickering lights steadied. The anomaly had accepted him. The room's energy shifted from chaotic to calm, almost serene. The danger had passed. For now the engineer sank to his knees, exhaustion hitting him like a tidal wave. The alien maid moved beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said softly, her voice carrying relief, admiration, and something else he couldn't name. He looked up at her, trying to catch his breath. We survived?" "For now," she replied, her eyes scanning the room. "The anomaly is contained, but it won't stay dormant forever. And we've only just begun to understand its power." He nodded slowly, realizing the truth. This was bigger than him, bigger than the ship. The anomaly was alive, intelligent, and potentially dangerous, but it had acknowledged him as an equal. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that this bond between them, between human and alien, was the key to surviving whatever came next. As they rose, the lights of the engine room pulsed gently, as if the anomaly was breathing, watching, waiting. The challenge wasn't over. Not by a long shot, but together they could face it. The engine room felt strangely quiet now, almost as if the ship itself was holding its breath. The anomaly's pulse had calmed, the lights glowed steadily, and the hum of the core had returned to its normal rhythm. The engineer wiped sweat from his brow, trying to steady his shaking hands. He had survived the anomaly's rebellion, but a nagging unease lingered. Something was still hidden, he could feel it. The alien maid leaned against a nearby console, her expression unreadable. "You handled it well," she said finally, her voice low and steady. "Better than I expected." He shook his head, still, catching his breath. "Handled it? I barely knew what I was doing. That thing, it was alive. It wasn't just a machine. How could anyone control something like that?" She stepped closer, her eyes glinting with a strange light. "You didn't control it. You communicated. And it recognized you as compatible." "Compatible?" He echoed, confusion and unease twisting in his stomach. "Yes," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The anomaly isn't just a machine. It's part of an ancient alien intelligence. And it has chosen you." He felt a chill run down his spine. "Chosen me? For what?" Her gaze fell on the glowing core. "To be its guardian, to understand it, to protect it, and to guide it." He stared at her, disbelief written on his face. "Guardian? Me? Why me?" She hesitated, then spoke with quiet intensity. "Because it sensed something in you. Something rare, curiosity, logic, empathy. You think like it, and it trusts you, even though it's alive. Even though it could destroy everything if it wanted to." The engineer sank into a chair, his mind spinning. He had dealt with complex systems before, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. He wasn't just an engineer. He was now linked to a living, intelligent anomaly deep within the ship, a being capable of understanding, adapting, and reacting. He swallowed hard. "So, what now? What do I do with it?" The alien maid moved closer, her hand brushing lightly. Over the core's interface. You observe, you learn, you guide. It will test you, yes. It will challenge you. But it also offers potential. Potential beyond your understanding. A faint glow pulsed from the anomaly, almost as if it were responding to her words. The engineer felt it in his chest, a strange connection, subtle but undeniable. The anomaly wasn't just following his instructions. It was aware of him, acknowledging him, even communicating in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. "And the crew?" he asked cautiously. "Do they know about this?" She shook her head. "No, and they never should. If they discover it before you understand it, they'll panic. Fear is dangerous, curiosity is dangerous, but combined, it can be catastrophic." He leaned back, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had never signed up for this. He was just an engineer, a man who fixed machines. But now he was something more. Something chosen. The alien maid's voice cut through his thoughts. "There's one more thing you need to know." He looked up, wary. "The anomaly isn't just ancient," she said slowly. "It's unique. Its kind may have existed elsewhere long ago, but this one is one of a kind, and its awakening is no accident. Someone or something wanted it to awaken now." He felt a shiver run down his spine. "Someone? What do you mean?" Her eyes met his, full of warning. "We aren't the only ones who know about it, and soon they may come looking for it. For you, for both of us." The engineer's heart pounded. He had thought surviving the anomaly's test was the hardest part. But now, the real danger loomed, one that extended far beyond the engine room, beyond the ship, beyond anything he could have imagined. The alien maid straightened. Her voice calm but firm. "Rest for now, but be ready. The real challenge is coming, and it will test not only your skill, but your courage. And your trust in me." He nodded slowly, a sense of determination settling over him. The anomaly was alive, aware, and now tied to him in ways he couldn't yet fully understand. And whatever forces were watching, whatever challenges were coming, he would face them. Because he had no choice. The lights of the engine room pulsed gently once more, the anomaly's heartbeat resonating through the metal walls. And somewhere deep within, the engineer understood the truth. The anomaly had awakened not just for survival, but for something far greater. Something that would change everything. The ship drifted through the dark void, silent except for the soft hum of the engine room. The engineer sat at the console, staring at the glowing anomaly, his mind still racing from the revelations of the past hours. The alien maid hovered nearby, her posture tense, eyes scanning every corner as if expecting something to happen at any second. "You feel it too, don't you?" he asked quietly. "Something outside?" She nodded, her expression serious. "It's coming. Whatever is aware of the anomaly knows we've awakened it. They will arrive soon. And they will not be gentle." A deep vibration shivered through the ship, subtle at first, then stronger, as if the anomaly itself was resonating with something beyond the stars. The engineer placed a hand on the console, feeling the pulse, the rhythm. It was not just alive. It was calling, communicating, preparing. Suddenly, a series of warning lights flared across the control panels. External sensors had detected movement. Massive energy signatures, approaching fast. Unknown ships, alien in design, surrounded them almost instantly, despite the emptiness of space. The anomaly's glow flared bright blue, reacting to the incoming threat. "They've come for it," the maid said, her voice low but urgent. "For the anomaly, and for us." The engineer felt a mix of fear and awe. For months, he had worked in isolation, repairing systems, fixing engines. Now he faced an intelligence not just within the ship, but outside it, drawn by the anomaly he had learned to trust. He had to act and fast. "Guide me," he said. voice steady, heart racing. "Tell me what to do." She moved closer, her hands hovering over the glowing panels. "You must awaken the anomaly fully. Merge its intelligence with the ship's systems. Only then will it be able to defend itself and us." His eyes widened. "Merge it? Are you saying, let it take over?" "Yes," she replied. "It will not harm you, but it will fight for survival. For the first time, it will be more than a puzzle. It will be a weapon." "And a guardian," he swallowed hard, then nodded. The engineer's fingers danced across the controls, entering sequences he had never seen before, guided by the alien maid's precise instructions. The anomaly pulsed, its light intensifying, responding to his every move. The ship's systems hummed, their power converging with the anomaly's energy. Outside, the unknown ships closed in, firing pulses of energy that rattled the hull. Shields flared and held, but barely. The engineer felt the anomaly thrumming beneath his hands, alive, aware, and growing stronger with every second. And then it happened. The anomaly burst through the ship's systems, spreading like liquid light, illuminating every corridor, every engine, every panel, its intelligence. Surged, scanning, analyzing, predicting the movements of the enemy ships. A wave of energy erupted from the hull, pushing the attackers back with precision and force. The alien maid's eyes widened in awe. It's perfect. You've done it. You've awakened it completely." The engineer felt a strange calm wash over him. Fear was gone, replaced by connection. He and the anomaly were no longer separate. The ship was no longer just a vessel. It was alive, aware, and ready. The enemy ships faltered, retreating, unsure how to face something so intelligent, so adaptive. And in that moment, the engineer realized something he hadn't expected. They were not just protecting themselves. The anomaly's awakening had opened a path away to defend countless others, a force for survival and understanding in the vast, dangerous universe. He glanced at the alien maid, a small smile crossing his lips. We did it." She nodded, her eyes reflecting the pulsing light of the anomaly. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The universe has taken notice, and it will challenge us again. You must be ready." The anomaly glowed brighter, filling the room with warmth and light. Its presence was no longer a secret, no longer just a puzzle. It was a being with purpose, and it had chosen him as its partner. As the ship sailed into the dark expanse, the engineer felt the weight of responsibility and a spark of hope. The unknown forces might return. The challenges might grow. But now, together, human and anomaly, they were unstoppable. The anomaly pulsed once more, as if acknowledging its new companion. And somewhere deep in space, something else stirred, aware, watching, waiting. The story ended not with closure, but with a promise. This was the awakening of something greater, and the universe would never be the same again.